So when we think about average 401k balances, again, this is a study done by Fidelity Investments in the fourth quarter of 2024. The average 401k balance for a 40-year-old in this country right now is about $91,000. For a 45-year-old, the average 401k balance is about $131,000. And by the end of the 40s, by age 50, the average 401k balance for an American in this country is about $176,000. So Brian, as you're thinking about this, as approaching 50, as approaching that mile marker, do you think 176 is where most people probably should be?
No, I mean, because retirement's right around the corner at this point. You're hoping that you can replace not months, but literally years of your life. Your money needs to work harder than you can. And people are quickly, you're celebrating that you're six figures because you're like, yeah, that would be a nice car, that'd be a nice house. But no, you need to be thinking, no, I need an enterprise value of assets that's going to replace my labor. I don't know that gets it done.
So when you're thinking about your money guy mile markers, we know that at age 30, we wanted to have 1 times our annual salary. At age 40, we want to have 3 times. And we're ultimately working towards 20 times our annual salary for financial independence. If you're looking for the mile marker where you ought to be at age 50 across all of your investable liquid wealth, we want you to be at 6.4 times your annual salary. So if we take the median salary for those in their 40s in this country right now, it's about $101,000. So by that metric, if you are the median income earner, where the average American has about $91,000 in their 401k at age 40, we said to have 3 times the median income at age 30, you want to have about $257,000. So now, as we get into our 40s, we work through our 40s, the average 45-year-old has a 401k balance of about $130,000. If you're following the Money Guy mile markers, we actually want your total portfolio to be worth about $445,000. And by the time you get to age 50, where the average 50-year-old in this country has a 401k with about $176,000 in it, we think that you should be shooting for about 6.4 times your income, which for the median income earner would be about $650,000.
Well, you can see how the separation. Remember how earlier I said it's a fork in the road moment. Think about for our financial mutants, you come into your 40s with $257,000 or maybe more if you've really thrown it out there, and you're like, watch what happens when this money grows upon itself. Because when I see a number of we're trying to go from $257,000 to $648,000 in a decade. That's a wild growth. But then when I back into and have the context of understanding that if I just had the $257,000, by the time I get to 50 years of age, it likely has grown to $543,000
without saving another dime.
And then that means, wait a minute, my savings rate only has to be like 7%, and I've still reached the goal. This is why, and I tell you, a lot of you are going to watch this and you're going to be behind. Use that as motivation because it doesn't mean that your situation's dire. It just means you have a little bit more work you need to do on increasing your savings and investment rate so you can catch this up, because it's not going to get easier. It's going to get harder as you're starting to lose less and less time for the money to grow and work upon itself.
Now, what's beautiful about 401ks is that they're not all that complicated. We've covered a lot of the basics in our 20s and our 30s. So what do we begin to focus on in our 40s? What are the things that we begin to focus on? What are some of the nuances that may be available to us? One of the things we want you to do is, as you get into your 40s, we want you to begin fine-tuning your specific plan. I mean, we say all the time, we want you saving 25% of your gross income, 25% of your gross income. But as your income changes and as your financial circumstances change, one of the questions we want you answering is, well, can I actually count the match? Can I count the money my employer's putting in? Is that part of my 25%? Or am I supposed to be doing 25% on my own? How do people answer that question?
Well,
how do we know?
It depends on how close you are to the social safety net. So we've gone ahead and defined, we've taken into account a lot of this. If you're a single individual, if you make over $100,000, you need to only count your funding. Don't count your employer match. If you make under 100, you can count the employer match. That's for single individuals. For married couples, $200,000. Like I said, it's all tied back to the social safety net. So pay attention to where you are from an income standpoint. If you're under, then embrace the fact that you get to count your employer. Use that as motivation to see if you can keep growing this thing even more.
Again, in your 40s, we want you fine-tuning. So maybe this is your story. Maybe When you were in your 20s, you just got your employer match. You put in 5% and they put in 5%. Then you got to your 30s, said, you know what, I'm going to double it. I'm going to start saving 10% of my salary. And you felt so great about that. But now you're in your 40s. One of the questions we want you to ask at this stage of your life is, can I actually max out my 401k? Can I actually go up to the governmental limits that they make available to me to put money in my 401k? And if you're in your 40s, if you're below 50 years of age, in 2025 this year, you can actually defer $23,500 of your salary into your 401k. That's the maximum allowable amount the government's going to let you put in there to take advantage of that tax incentivized growth. So are you taking advantage of that, or are you leaving some money, leaving some opportunity on the table?
I mean, we still want you prioritizing the Roth IRAs, the health savings accounts, because that's step number 5 of the financial order operations. The tax motivation is very powerful, but it is, I think by the time you're in your 40s, you're probably exceeding step 5, and you're also in step 6, which is hopefully having you max out your retirement options in your 401k.
And then as you do that, Brian, you get into step 7, you get into hyperaccumulation. And one of the questions we get all the time is, okay, if I'm in hyperaccumulation and I've maxed out my 401k, I've done my salary deferral, what comes next? What options are available to me after that?
I mean, we always in step 7, especially if you're one of these people that thinks you're going to need access before 55 for 401k, 59 and a half for all the other retirement accounts, besides 457, by the way, that don't have those. But it is one of those things where you might want to have some taxable brokerage accounts. If you're a really high income person and you have the right structured account, you might get excited about finding out that you have after-tax contributions, which can set up backdoor Roth conversions, mega backdoor Roth conversions, a lot of cool planning opportunities. So pay attention as you go beyond 25%. How do we need to structure those accounts to maximize all the tax benefits, but also to reach you and use appropriately or best for you in retirement?
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize. They think about, when I put money in my 401k, I can either do pre-tax or Roth. They don't recognize there's actually a third contribution type called after-tax contributions. And even though $23,500 is the most you can put into pre-tax or the most you can put into Roth, in this third type of contribution bucket, you're not limited. You can actually take this all the way up to the Section 415 limits of $70,000. So if you are a very high income individual, or you do have an employer that has a very robust plan with after-tax options, you, between your contributions on salary deferral, between your employer safe harbor or profit sharing or matching contributions and after-tax contributions, you might actually be able to get $70,000 a year into your 401k in a tax advantage manner. So you want to make sure, as you're fine-tuning and customizing your plan, you're asking the question, are these types of benefits available in my plan? And if they are they something that I should be taking advantage of?